Phil Newmeyer, Republican candidate for Macomb County Sheriff. Good morning, and nice to meet you, Phil.
You too, sir.
You know, this goes pretty fast, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live?
Well,
what do you do? What got you here?
I'm a lifelong resident of Macomb County. Originally born in Utica. I joke about being in a barn, being born in a barn. If you look on Brownell Street, you'll see a house that used to be a barn that was converted. That was our original house. Only spent about 6 months there, moved to Shelby Township.
You're close to the stadium now.
Oh yeah, it's right in the backyard. But moved to Shelby Township, 24 in Mound area. Mom and Dad were lifelong Macomb residents too. And so till I was about the age of 20, moved to Mount Clemens, where I then had married, 3 kids, 1 grandkid. Still married to this day.
Good.
God bless my wife Doris. We'll throw out to her. 36 years of marriage now this August. 3 great kids. She did a heck of a job raising them. Worked for the Macomb County Sheriff's Department since 1977. Was hired by Bill Hackle back in the day. Retired as a sergeant in June of 2012, my 35-year anniversary.
So this kind of rolls in. You're kind of getting ahead of me a little bit here.
Sorry.
But, not at all. But this is the Sheriff of Macomb or any place else is a huge job, and so what qualifies you? What qualifies you for that position?
Well, I believe that the sheriff's position is important. It's not a hobby. It's not something that should be taken lightly, and I don't do this lightly at all.
Sure.
I think that you have to be a sheriff for the people, but I have, again, 35 years of experience with the Sheriff's Department. I've held command positions. I've prided myself of being a boots on the ground kind of a person, so I've done everything, literally.
You're in law enforcement as we speak, yes?
Correct. I'm still an officer with the Armada Police Department, the village of Armada.
In your opinion, what are the greatest concerns facing law enforcement? Boy, there's plenty of them for all of us, but in our county.
In our county, I think our heroin problem is bad. And it's bad all over the state and all over the country, really. But I'm a little disappointed with the emphasis that's been placed on it, particularly in the Sheriff's Department. Give you an example. Before I left, we had 5 narcotics dogs. Now we have 2. And dogs are a great asset. They're like a force multiplier. If you have a problem,
you were involved
you can
with
put
the
them
canine?
someplace else. Yes, I was a canine officer from 2006 to the day I retired. Yep. Ran the unit from 2007 to 2012. So I'm familiar with budgets, disciplinary issues, many of the things that go into the office of sheriff. We have another problem. Traffic is a big issue. People are always complaining about the traffic.
I live on I live on 21 at Garfield. I call it Hull Road 2.
Oh yeah.
I can understand traffic.
Yes, most definitely. So our traffic fatalities are up. Our narcotics problem with heroin is up. Different things like that. I think really being in touch with the people and what the people's needs are. You talk about traffic. I think there's a lot of need out there to get back to that, what the community wants and needs, as opposed to what the politicians think they should have.
Any specific ideas what you'd like to change? You told me you were an advocate for staff on the department over a period of time, right?
Yep, I was a union official for a long time, so I was an advocate for staff in many ways. You have budget constraints, and I'm a fiscally conservative kind of person, thanks to my wife. Just because there's checks in the checkbook doesn't mean you spend it. But there's many things that the Sheriff's Department can offer, SWAT teams, K-9, Marine Division, arson investigators, things like that can support neighboring agencies. One example is the dispatch center that's been created. Clinton Township, Sterling Heights, Sheriff's Department. I hear some rumblings from the staff there about some issues. CompTech, correct.
You're good or not good?
You know what? I think
in
principle, it's good. I think it was a tremendous cost savings for the communities that are involved in it. I hear some complaints from the staff in there that I would really, if I become sheriff, I would like to address. Shortages, for instance, when I hear staff that has a problem going to the restroom because there's nobody there to replace them, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Some other issues with timing and dispatch times and things, but it's a workable thing. But I think it needs a little bit of tuning, a little tweaking.
What's been, it certainly was highly promoted and highly regarded in many cases. But
Yes.
You also mentioned you did Marine service, yes?
Correct.
Marine Patrol. Yep.
Yep, did Marine Division for 13 years.
So how many years were you with the department?
35 total.
You told me that. I'm sorry, I forgot. But so we know you have history, you have legacy knowledge, and those kinds of things. And if you were to happen to be the sheriff in November, what would be the first thing you'd do?
Probably the first thing I would do is look at.
Or be elected in November.
Yeah. I would look at manpower and staffing. I think there's some weaknesses in places and some overstaffing issues in other. I think there's a certain rigidity to it that I don't like. I think you have divisions that are touted to be a specialty division, which really there's not enough work there for them. If they're not able to work on their specialty, they need to get out of their desks and go work someplace else and handle things that are going on. So I think some of that rigidity needs to go. There needs to be a little more flexibility in staffing and manpower. And it's not about hiring people necessarily either. Comtech is an issue where probably, from what I'm hearing, maybe they need a few more people. I'm not a big spender either, quite honestly, but having worked dispatch for a few years on an overtime basis, it's a very important job that I think is minimized in a certain respect. They treat those people like secretaries, and they're really not. They're one of the first lifeblood of the community as far as the first contact that somebody makes when they call 911. Somebody wakes up with their spouse deceased beside them. That's the first person they talk to.
Sure.
So you want good quality, well-paid people there, and I think that's one of the things that needs to be looked at.
We have just a couple of minutes left, but just a question came to mind, and I want to give you a chance to close properly. But this active shooter thing we're all learning about, and I just read recently that our guys have been training, or guys and gals, our officers have been training for those situations. That's a huge problem, isn't it?
It's something that needs to be looked at and always addressed. It's a training issue. I worked from 1984 to 2014 at the Macomb Community College. I was a firearms instructor, advanced police training for SWAT teams, patrol officers, etc. Yeah. And so active shooter has taken many forms over the years. It's definitely something that it's a training issue with the officers that are there. They need to be properly equipped. Patrol rifles are big for them. They need to have the proper communications tools.
Good. I don't want to. It's a very interesting topic. Don't be sorry.
I'll go on and on.
No, but that's okay, and you can weave that into this. We have 2 minutes or less left for our time here. But tell us, why should people vote for you?
I think the Sheriff's Department needs some fresh perspective. You've had the same people in there for many years, and it's gotten stale. I think they've lost touch with the community. Give you an example. We had 8th graders that we took out for an anti-smoking campaign, where they went to gas stations and bars and things like that to hand out literature, update them on the laws and things. Police officers took them. Contracted areas for Washington, Lenox Township, New Haven, where the Sheriff's Department actually has physical contracts. They didn't show up. It was the Armadas and the Richmonds and the Romeos that took these kids to places that they really shouldn't have, because they're not contracted areas. So I think the Sheriff's Department has lost touch in many ways, and I'd like to bring that back.
Okay. I would say thank you, Phil Newmeyer, and I would thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
I wish you success in the election, and Godspeed.
Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome. I'm sitting here with Paul Smith, who is running for county sheriff.
Correct.
Great. So first, let's get the easy thing out of the way. Where do you live?
Sterling Heights.
Great. And why are you running for this office?
Well, I'm running for county sheriff because I think that all operations, like the military, the police, the sheriff, fire protection, need civilian management answerable to the voters. That promotion from within goes only so far, and at some point an organization needs management that's elected and above them rather than from within them.
And you're the guy to do it.
I am definitely that person.
So what makes you qualified to run for that?
Well, I'll be 70 years old by this time, and I've had a background in project management with General Motors. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. Typically, when I ran projects for General Motors, I'm not a skilled tradesman. I'm not an electrician or a sheet metal worker, a millwright or an iron worker, but I've supervised skilled trades and worked in a top management position, just as the President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, but he's never served in the military. Typically, Secretaries of Defense run the whole Defense Department, and they're not military veterans, because the principle of the thing is that, say, the Armed Forces, right down to the county sheriff, need to be under control of the voters, not under their own control. So that's why I've stepped forward to give the people a choice. Secondly, when politicians or elected officials run completely unopposed, they get the idea that they can do anything they want, absolutely anything they want. And in fact, they can do absolutely anything they want if there's not another name on the ballot. And the incumbent sheriff might not do anything wrong. Maybe I'd vote for him myself, but people that want him replaced need to have the option to go another way. That I think every incumbent needs opposition just to keep him honest and keep him responsive.
So a little bit tougher question. What do you see as the biggest problem facing our community regarding this particular office?
Well, our biggest problem facing our community for all offices is the unlimited desire of incumbents to tax and spend and increase the size of government as much as they possibly can. Without the resistance of the taxpayers and without the resistance of the people, taxing and spending and the size of the government goes no place but up. In this election alone, counting the primary and the general election, we have 4 tax increases already on the ballot for things that we don't even remotely need, but just politicians who are entrenched and unopposed think of innovative ways to create new programs, new initiatives to spend more money, to overspend them, and then come back for even more money to top that. So not to say I'm opposed to all taxes, but the people have a right to say no. People have a right to say how much they're willing to spend. That in a city, a county, a township, a state that runs taxation by percentage, there's more taxable property is built every year, and the value of the property goes up every year. So all taxes automatically increase themselves. And when tax rates go up, the taxation exponentially goes through the roof. So again, that's it's kind of my approach to all of this, that I'm not saying we need to do away with all taxes, but it takes a very strong case to sell that the rate of taxation ever needs to go up when the tax base is itself going up.
Right, so you're going to look at those taxes as a way to make that better.
Well, at least I'll hold the line on any more. I'm not saying I'm going to get rid of county taxes, but I'm certainly not going to be a force to raise it even more. A couple years ago, both Macomb County and Sterling Heights put through 1.9 mil tax increases, and before the ink was dry, Sterling Heights went in for another 2.5 mils, and since nobody effectively opposed them, now they're going back for yet another mill. So we'll have 3 millage increases in Sterling Heights in 6 years. As we see it now, we had a county tax millage. They've got 2 more county tax increases on the August election. They put through a county tax increase to fund the Detroit Zoo, a county tax to fund the Detroit Art Institute. Apparently the voters, if they say yes, they say yes, but there's going to be somebody out there to say no.
All right, Mr. Smith, the last 2 minutes, tell the voters why they should vote for you.
Well, I hope the voters vote for me because I'm going to do an honest job of being sheriff, that throughout my 40-year history in Sterling Heights and in Macomb County, I can only remember 3 sheriffs, and we've operated like a monarchy or a South American dictatorship where somebody stays in office forever. As he's leaving, he appoints his son. His son moves up to become county executive. He hands over the badge to somebody else, and we've really never had an open, free election for county sheriff, and in most cases, very seldom for any other position. That in the absence of term limitations, people occupy an office as long as they want to, and when their office is close to expiration, they resign, appoint a handpicked successor who runs as an incumbent, and thereby perpetuates a dynasty form of government in the cities, counties, and townships of Macomb. And I think the voters, people that want to put a lid on the size of government, will have a choice by voting for me. I've run many projects in my days in the Air Force. They say, well, they talk about as if the sheriff's going to go out with a badge and a gun like Wyatt Earp and personally enforce the law. That I would be the manager of a large department with professional law enforcers, and I don't intend to go out and physically subdue criminals any more than a 4-star general in the Air Force would go into battle either. But I think as a manager, I can run this department very well, and services will go on, I'm sure, as they are. Probably won't be expanded, but I don't expect them to be reduced substantially either. So thank you very much for having me in.
Thank you for coming, and good luck on your campaign.
Okay, thanks, Jen.
And now with us we have Anthony Wickersham, who's going to be running for Macomb County Sheriff. Hi Anthony, nice to see you.
Hi.
I'm just going to start by asking you a few questions about your background, and go into why you're running for this position, and if you could just start by telling me a little bit about your professional experience, your education.
I am a 30-plus year member of the Macomb County Sheriff's Office. I started out entry level in corrections, and I worked 4 years in the jail till I was promoted to deputy sheriff. Through my deputy sheriff career, I did patrol. I worked some undercover areas, and then I was promoted into supervision and held various ranks as I moved through the office. And most of my time was spent in investigations until 2002. I was promoted to captain, and I became an administrator. So I've had a wide array of jobs at the sheriff's office, which kind of gives me a well-rounded ability to lead that organization.
Well, obviously as an incumbent, you have the background and experience necessary for the role. Sure. But do you, as you look at your competition, do you, what do you think are the special skills or strengths that you have that make you stand out? You
know, what I look at is I'm educated. Again, an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree. I have FBI training, a 3-month FBI academy I attended. I have a 3-month Northwestern University Police School Staff and Command. I have Secret Service dignitary protection. So I do have the educational aspect to run this organization. I also have experience. Again, as I started, I've held almost every rank with the exception of the undersheriff. I've worked in almost every facet of the organization, so I really do have a good understanding of the Macomb County Sheriff's Office, what we need to do and where we need to go into the future. And last, I'm dedicated. Lifelong Macomb County resident, again, over 30 years at the Sheriff's Office. I love my job. Every morning I wake up, I'm excited and I'm enthused, and I want to get to work, and I want to get through the day, and I want to get the job done, and I want to lead the men and women of the Sheriff's Office. My goal as the leader is to promote the department, stand up to make sure that they have the tools and resources necessary to do the job, protect themselves and protect the public. So my goal is to continue moving the Macomb County Sheriff's Office into the future.
Great. And relative to the position, what do you think is the biggest issue right now facing Macomb County?
The biggest issue, it's kind of a twofold. One is the fact that Macomb County is growing. With growth comes crime, and with crime comes additional resources will be needed to handle those calls for service. The growth also brings crime, also brings arrest, and brings incarceration rates up. We have a jail that has been at capacity for many, many years. Probably a lot of the viewers don't know, the judges in Macomb County, both at the circuit court and district court level, are on a bed allocation plan. So each judge is allotted a number of beds. So one of the projects that I've been working on for the past couple of years is we've hired an outside consulting firm to really do an in-depth study of the Macomb County Jail, doing a feasibility study of how we're doing business, what are we doing with our incarceration rates, are there other alternatives to incarceration that we could be utilizing, and again, taking a look at our infrastructure. Macomb County Jail dates back to 1954. There's parts that every decade the county just added another section to the jail. So really we have to look at our infrastructure. It's aged, it's getting old. We're putting good money into what I would say a bad situation just to keep the jail up and running. So but we're looking to these experts that do this nationwide to come back and give us some ideas and give us some good solid tips of where we need to go into the future with incarceration.
And as the incumbent, what is your greatest achievement? What do you think? What are you the most proud of?
You know, what I'm proud of is I think one is internally. I think I'm I'm into my 6th year as sheriff. That the men and women, I think I'm gaining more of their respect. They see the type of leader that I am. I'm standing up for them, making sure that, again, like I said, we're getting them the resources, we're getting them the tools. But also from the outside is I've fostered a lot of relationships at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level that, bringing our agency to working together. Again, we can't do this job alone. We have to collaborate with our partners and we have to work together. We have done a lot of consolidation, especially in our dispatch center with communities such as Clinton Township and Sterling Heights, big communities here in Macomb County. And with those relationship building, those leaders, the public safety leaders, the police chiefs, fire chiefs, instilled in me the fact that they had faith that I could take their dispatch services and lead them into the next decade or so.
Excellent. And if you were to get reelected, what's the top thing that you would want to work on?
Really, the top thing that we really have to work on is actually the Macomb County Jail, where we're going to go into the direction. It's something that needs to be put in place. It's something that, as a leader, I have to be, thinking into the future, and it may not be for Tony Wickersham as the sheriff. It may be for future sheriffs to come. But my job is to leave the office in a better place than when we took over. And again, looking for growth and being accessible, that we have something in place that's going to protect the residents of Macomb County into the future. We're talking 15, 20, 25 years.
Well, we have just a couple minutes left. Why don't you share with the voters why they should vote for you?
Sure. As your current sheriff, I feel I have the experience, I have the education, and I do have the dedication to continue on as your sheriff. Again, I'm proud of the men and women of the sheriff's office, of the job that they do on a daily basis. I'm the leader, but they're the ones that are on the ground doing the job and interacting with the community. And again, our organization is growing. We're well respected throughout the state, if not the nation. And I continue to serve the public and make Macomb County a safer place to live, work, and play.
Well, thanks so much, Anthony. It was a pleasure having you in.
Thank you for this
so
opportunity.
much, and best of luck in the August primary and in November as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.